Namaste, and welcome to your pregnancy yoga series. I'm Katy Appleton, the founder and director of Apple Yoga. You will need a block to sit on, just to raise the pelvis higher than the knees, particularly conducive when pregnant to create space in the body for both you and your baby. Come into a comfortable cross-legged position. Lift the sitting bones up and back, and take your hands onto your thighs or around your bump. We're just going to take a minute for a little breath work. So you're welcome to close your eyes and start to become aware of the nose. As you inhale, inhale through the nose gently. And as you exhale, exhale through the nose or mouth, letting go. And again, inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose or mouth when pregnant doing yoga. This helps to just center the mind into the flow. And this flow is conducive, particularly for women in the first trimester. However, anyone can do this. Keep going with the breath. Really nice, ladies. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose or mouth. Last time, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose or mouth. So keep the breath going. It can be more natural, and we'll start the movements. Taking your hand to the floor, inhale the arm up and out to the side, lift the sternum, exhale, bend over. Please root the other sit bone down into the floor. Come back to the center, inhale, move to the opposite side, and exhale, rooting that sit bone down into the floor. Again, inhale, lift up out of the waist, giving space for your baby, exhale. Good, inhale and exhale. Press the hand down, draw the elbow in and reach over to the side. Last time, and we're going to hold this here, inhale and exhale. So you continue to breathe here, pressing this hand down, elbow comes into the body, draw the scapular shoulder blade down the back and lift the heart bone up. Reach through the top arm. Excellent. Come back to the center last time. So the reason for doing this side bend flow as you breathe is to open up the space between the rib bones, particularly useful when pregnant, so you can get lots of breath there eventually when you're at my stage of pregnancy in the last trimester. Come back to the center, inhale and release down, exhale. So we're going to twist now to nourish the nervous system. Very important, inhale. And exhale, take one hand to the leg and the other arm behind you. We're going to circle the arm forwards and up. On the breath in, lift up and away from your baby and exhale all the way back. Good. Couple more of those. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Taking the fingertips to the floor behind you, lift the heart bone up so you've got lots of space for both of you. And then draw the chin into the chest. Inhale and bring the chin forwards to the front shoulder. Exhale, just to release the neck area, any tension in that area. Keep moving with the breath. So please know that these movements that we're doing are very safe and conducive for the first trimester, when the body is really bedding down your baby and creating a beautiful home for her, him to live in. Coming back to the center, we'll do that exactly the same to the other side. Take both arms wide. Inhale, lift the sternum up. Nose or mouth, hands through the midline. Keep lifting up out of your waist, and exhale, take the hand behind you. We're going to take a few circles. The arm comes forwards, breath comes in, and moving back, exhaling. Good, a few more. Inhaling and exhaling. Last one. Inhaling and exhaling. So root the fingertips to the floor behind you, lifting your sternum up, and we're going to take a few neck rolls. So as you breathe in, bring your chin down into your chest, and then bring the head back or front. And then again, chin into the chest, and bring the head forwards or back. A few more of those. So as you're doing this action, to create more space within for both of you, keep that hand really rooting into the leg to lift the sternum up. You keep flowing. Really nice. And then come back to the center. So twisting the spine helps to nourish the nervous system, which is along the central column of the spine. Again, very important for our well-being in life. And then we're going to come into some butterfly rolls. So take the soles of the feet together. Press the balls of the feet and the heels together. You might have to shift the sit bones up and back again. So we're opening up the groin and inner thigh area for the obvious reasons. And we're just going to, again, bounce the legs just a little bit here to release. And as you're breathing, allowing the knees to relax. So we're going to undulate the spine now. Taking the breath, inhale, pause with the legs. And as you exhale, lengthen the heart forwards away from your baby. And then curl the spine back like a wave. So as your body changes in pregnancy, the spine comes under great duress. So as we move in these undulating rolls, this helps the vertebra, the 26 bones of the spine, to find freedom. So as you continue to do this, you might find the stretch towards the back of the hips and around the lower back, which is great. And you may well find that you are feeling the stretch around this area, which is also normal. You might not go quite as far as I am, and that's okay. Taking the last one, and we're going to pause here and taking the other hands onto the legs or onto the floor. And we're going to take a few rounds of breath here. Are you ready? Okay. Inhale. Nose or mouth to exhale. See if you can deepen the breath. So as you inhale, inhale for a count of 2 or 3. And as you exhale, see if you can extend that breath for a little longer. The breath work can really relieve nausea in the first trimester. I found that to be of great solace when I was in my first trimester. Continuing to breathe, just one more round of breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Excellent, ladies, well done. That's quite strong to hold that position. So continuing, we're going to take the legs into a wider position. Everybody will find their own width. Again, you might be wider than me. You might even be narrower than me. The most important aspect that you want to find is you've got length through the sides of your waist and your spine is tall. And sitting on something that may even be higher than this block may be very conducive to your body. So you're not dropping into the lower back and hanging into the body so the lungs can't fully breathe. So coming upwards towards a seat, allowing the sit bones to lift and shift. I'm going to take the hands and interlace, pressing the heels of the hands together. We're going to take some circles and move around the bony pelvis like we're stirring. So we move from sit bone through to the pubic arc and through to the other sit bone and back to the tailbone, mapping the bony pelvis. And again, you may feel the stretch behind the legs in the hamstrings and the inner groin. Continuing to breathe. And then we'll start to move in the opposite direction. Keep the legs energized so it protects the ligaments. We have in our body what's called relaxin at the moment, the hormone that secretes to allow the ligaments to be a little bit more pliable in preparation for birth around the whole body. So keeping the legs active helps just to prevent any distortion in the ligaments with this additional hormone relaxin. So we're going to move to the other side a little bit more. Continuing to breathe, bigger movements now. So did you know in pregnancy we have about 40 to 50% more blood and fluid volume in our bodies, which makes our heart work harder. So it enlarges by about 12% when pregnant. Amazing. Continuing to move in the other direction. So it's no wonder that we feel breathless, tired, and all of these other factors inside of a pregnancy, which is why we're taking the movements at a slower pace, particularly in the first trimester, when there's so many things going on. Good, come back to the center. We're going to take the arms out to the side, inhale. Take the arms down the midline, exhale. Take the arms forwards, inhale. And reach all the way back, exhale, lift the heart. 2 more of those. Inhale, the arms go up. Coming into prayer pose, exhale. Reaching forwards, inhale, stretching through the inner thighs. And making this your last one, coming up now. Well done. In breath. Out breath. Reaching forwards, in breath. And out breath, lifting the heart up. Whew. So, gently bring the legs back together again. Take a moment to pause and reflect. How does that feel in the body? May feel a little bit more open in this area. Well done, ladies. Namaste. I'm Katy Appleton, the founder and director of Apple Yoga. We're doing a standing flow today. So coming to a comfortable position, legs hips width or wider dependent on the trimester that you're in. So wider if you're later, a little narrower if you're not. This flow is conducive for women mainly in their second trimester. However, anyone can do this. Just go at your own pace. So we're going to start off with the breath to center the body and mind. You can take one hand to your precious baby and the other hand to your heart. You're welcome to close your eyes and start to find your breath again, becoming more conscious of it. As you inhale through the nose, allow the lungs to fill and expand, and as you exhale through the nose, gently draw your baby closer in towards you like you're hugging them. A few more rounds of breath going at your own pace. Use my voice as a guide. Inhaling through the nose. And as you exhale through your nose or your mouth, gently hug your baby towards you. Lovely. Last time. Inhaling through the nose. And exhaling through your nose or mouth, drawing your baby back. So we're going to start with some squats to strengthen up the legs. Take the legs wider, at least as I have here. Hips width or wider, toes turn out, arms go wide, in breath. Lift the heart and the head, stretch away from your pelvis, and as you exhale, come into yogic squat, elbows press against thighs. 1 more of those. Inhale, press the feet into the floor to lift up towards your hands, and then exhale down the midline. And again, exhale, press the elbows down into your thighs. This next one we're going to hold. Take the arms wide, inhale. And staying in the position for a few rounds of breath. This is going to challenge the legs, and that's a good thing. We want our legs and hips to be very strong as the body changes and the spine has a different duress on it. So keep the breath going on. So in the second trimester, reach the arms forwards, in breath, and then root the arm bones back into the shoulders, out breath. I know, it's strong. Stay here, lift the arms by your ears. In the second trimester, we tend to get more of that vital energy back. So doing squats and holding them for a duration of time seem possible. Coming all the way up, inhale, well done. And take your hands back into prayer pose and bring your legs together. Keep the breath going on. You might have felt the cardiovascular system lifting a little bit right now. And if you need to, exhale through your mouth. Keeping the legs together, rooting them down into the floor. Hug your hips into the midline. Take one hand onto the hip. Reach the other arm wide. In breath. Press the hand into the hip and lift up and over. Exhale. Again, excellent for toning the sides of the waist, which is still possible when pregnant. Exhaling. Good. 2 more of those. Root the opposite heel into the floor to give you the maximum lift inside this position. Staying on that side, taking a few rounds of breath here. And as you breathe, lift your sternum up whilst rooting your feet down. Last time, come back to center, breath, and then exhaling. Lift the sternum, root the heels down. Excellent. Come back to center, inhale, and take the hands into prayer pose, exhale. moving into the prenatal sun salutation. So come forwards to the top of your mat, and we're going to start through a squatting position. Take your arms wide, inhale. Move all the way down to the floor, fingertips in alignment with the toes, exhale. Excellent. Step your right leg back into a running lunge, inhale. Keep the breath going on and move your hands underneath your shoulders. And then place your right knee or left knee down to the floor. Continue to breathe here, and you might get quite a strong stretch, which is fine, through that front hip flexor, the psoas muscle. Lift the sternum up as high as you can, and then take the hands to the floor, knees to the floor, and come onto all fours. Hands shoulders width apart, knees a comfortable distance apart or wider if you're in your later trimesters. Look forwards, cat-cow, inhale. Root the shin bones and feet down, the hands down, and draw your baby gently up towards you as you open your back up. Inhaling. So this is excellent for the spine. As your baby grows more up and your uterus grows more up out of the pelvis, the lower back tends to get a little bit compressed because of that. The bump coming forward. So these movements can be really excellent just to open the joints between each of the lower back vertebrae. Beautiful. Look forwards, in breath. Turn your toes underneath you, exhale. Keep the breath going on. Take your right hand closer to the midline and then move your right foot by pushing the feet into the floor and stepping the right leg forwards. If it doesn't quite go, simply bring it forwards. You're going to reverse backwards now. Use your pelvic floor muscles, lift them up to help you step forwards into a squatting position. Exhale. We're going to walk the hands all the way up the thighs. And you can take the arms wide if you're not feeling lightheaded to the ceiling. If you're feeling lightheaded, then simply just take them back into prayer pose without lifting them above the head. Second side, arms go wide, breathe in. Nose or mouth, breathe out. Left leg steps back or other leg steps back. Inhale. Keep the breath going on and place the knee down to the floor. If it doesn't feel comfortable to be this far forwards, just lift the hips back a little bit and stay here. No problem. Remember, we're coming into all fours now, so take the hands to the floor, the knees onto the floor. Fingers spread, knuckles pressed down. Look forwards, broaden the collarbones. And as you exhale, root the hands, the feet, and the shins into the floor as you gently look and say hello to your baby. Lengthening forwards, in breath. 2 more, out breath. Last one, in breath. And out breath. Coming forwards with the same leg that you stepped back. So turn the toes behind you, breathe. Take the left hand or the other hand to the midline a little so you have space for your foot to step. Continuing to breathe, bring your hips back. Use your pelvic floor muscles, lift them up to engage as you step forwards, just for safety. And then coming all the way upwards to a standing position. And remember, if you are feeling lightheaded, simply bring the hands back into prayer pose without lifting them. So moving into the last part of this flow, take the hands onto your hips and step your leg backwards. So it's about one of your legs' length apart, and you want your heels to be in alignment, just for stability. And then bring your hips more onto a diagonal line so there's no torquing in the knee. And then we're going to work on this warrior flow to really strengthen up the legs. So breathing in, lift the sternum away from your beautiful babies. And as you exhale, bend the front knee right over the heel. You can take the hand onto the thigh and the back hand roots the back hip downwards. So you've got your hip bones in a line with one another. And then we're going to lift the arms up on the in-breath and straighten the front leg. Ready? In-breath. And out-breath through prayer pose, back hand to hip, and front arm over the front leg. Excellent. Once more. In-breath. Be really mindful of the back leg. Press the back foot into the floor. Keep Keep the back leg super straight so there's no distortion in the knee. And then keep the front knee over the joint. It's quite strong to stay here. Good. Then taking your right elbow onto the thigh, working on what we call side angle pose. Taking the tailbone to root it back towards the heel. Draw your babies up towards you. And then slightly open through the chest. You'll probably be feeling this in your legs now, and that's good. Coming up out of the position, use your breath. Inhale, press into the feet, and turn the feet forwards. Thankfully, one more side to go. So pivoting the feet to the opposite direction. Notice how I just turn the back foot in very slightly to keep the knee happy. Hips in alignment. Breathe in, and then bend the front knee over the foot. You're looking for a 90-degree angle. You might not get that, but looking for that eventually. Front hand presses into thigh, back hand roots the back hip down, so we've got that hips aligned, and then we'll flow with the arms. Straighten the front leg, in breath. Nose or mouth, prayer pose, out breath. Back hand roots the back hip. One more, in breath, and out breath. Good, and last time to hold, in breath. And again, being mindful of the back foot, rooting into the floor, particularly the outer edge of the foot roots down. And then lastly, side angle pose. Knee over heel, press the elbow down. Tailbone roots to your back heel. Draw your baby towards you. Lift your sternum up. And if you can, gently breathe here. Coming up on an in-breath, press the feet into the floor. Bring them to the front. And then simply turn to face where you started. Back into prayer pose. Namaste, and thank you for watching. I'm Katy Appleton, the founder and director of Apple Yoga. Today's flow we're going to be doing with a chair, conducive for women in their third trimester. However, anyone can do this flow. So we're going to take the foot up onto the chair and widen the underneath leg. Take a breath, inhale. And as you exhale, squat down, bend the knee over the foot. You can hold the back of the chair for support, inhaling to lift, and again, exhaling, squatting down. Or you can even place your hand on the thigh or the chair in front. And we're just going to do that a few more times, breathing in to lift up. And when you go down, just breathe easily. So we're using the chair, again, because our bodies are changing quite dramatically in this stage of trimester, for support and balance. And these squatting movements, as you can see, can help open the pelvic outlet, the bony pelvis, just making us a little more aware of, again, the area of the birth. Last time, inhaling and exhaling. Coming up out of the position, and we're going to take a little bit of a side bend flow. So take the arm up and out, inhale. And then bend over to the side, exhale. You can rest your elbow against the thigh and root it down to lift the sternum up, to stretch right over. Continue to breathe. Nose or mouth to exhale. And then come back up, and we're going to turn to the front leg. Make sure your standing leg is right underneath your hip so you feel stable. And then take your hips square to the front here. Hug in a little to support yourself and your ligaments and pelvis. And then take the hand over the leg and we're going to twist. So bring the arm forwards and up on the in-breath. Lift away from your baby, create space, and take the arm back as you exhale. If you feel balanced, you can move your head as well. If not, just keep the face forwards so you have a steady gaze. To help stabilize, keep hugging your outer hips, this area, towards the midline. And that'll help prevent any wobbling. Excellent. Take one last one. In breath. And nose or mouth out breath. Simply. Let's go to the other side. So squats first. Inhalation. Through the nose, exhale nose or mouth in prenatal yoga. And you may not go as far as I am, and that's totally fine. Go with what feels excellent in your body, really intuitive to your body's needs. Importantly, keep the knee over the foot though. And we're really opening up the pelvis here. When squatting, there's about 30% less distance. So it's a good thing to remember potentially in the second stage of labour when you're birthing your baby to perhaps be on a squatting position as there's less distance for the baby to come down. Last time, in breath. Nose or mouth out breath. And use your hand on the chair, somewhere that feels supported, and on your thigh, making sure that knee is right over the toe so we're not distorting the knee joint. Come up out of the position and turn towards your front leg. Again, hop in a little bit so the foot is right underneath your hip, and then bring your hips square to the front. Hug in. So notice how I'm hugging in. Hug the outer hips in, and then that lifts you away from your pelvis, giving you more space for your baby. And then take the hand over the thigh. Press into the leg, lift the arm forwards and up. Inhalation, and then keep that lift as you exhale all the way around the back. Remember, if you're feeling a little unbalanced today, keep your eyes forwards. Keep this leg strong, so we're toning it and strengthening it. A couple more of those circles. In breath. So we're nourishing the nervous system as we're twisting, we're toning the waist. Out breath and making this your last one. Well done. So the last part of the flow, we're going to sit down. When sitting, lift the sit bones up and back, bend the knees, have a wider position for your feet, particularly if you're in your later trimester, and have your feet flat on the floor. We're going to work with a pose called pigeon, or Eka Pada Raj Kapotasana in Sanskrit, rather a long name. This is going to open up the outside and the inside of the hip, and it will probably bring quite a lot of sensation in the body. So we're going to use the breath to help move into that sensation and dilute it and dissolve it, a little bit like a contraction. So taking the foot closer in, lift the leg up, hold on to the foot or ankle and bring it across. It may need a little bit more of a maneuver than I just demonstrated to get that foot up. And then flex the foot really well. This helps keep stability in the knee joint, press out through the heel so it's not relaxed. Makes everything safe. You can hold on to the back of your chair, root the foot down into the floor and lift the sternum up, breathe in. And you'll probably start to feel the stretch at the outside of the hip. It really varies body to body. Some people will feel this a lot, and some people won't feel this much because of the relaxin in your body right now, the hormone that makes everything a little bit more stretchy. You can take it a little further by bending forwards. Whew. Good, breathing. And just getting used to sensation. So we create mental strength to stay with sensation in the body in preparation for birth. Let's do that to the other side. Take the foot to the floor, bring it to the midline a little, lift the other leg up, hold on to the heel, ankle, and bring the foot across. Knee over foot, flex this foot, vitally important for the stability and well-being of the knee joint. And again, you can hold on to the back of the chair, press down to lift the sternum up, and you'll get a good stretch. Heel presses outwards. This may be plenty, so stay here and just work with the breath, making friends with the sensation that's in your body rather than fighting with it. Use your exhalation to release into it. And if you want to go deeper, to meet that sensation further, start to tip forwards. You can stay holding onto the chair. However, you could place pressure onto the foot and the outside of the thigh and deepen into the position. Again, little space for your baby. And then coming all the way back up to the center, inhaling and releasing down. So freedom in the outside of the hips, really good for the lower back to release it. So the last part of this flow is what we call in yoga Kriya techniques. A Kriya is a repeated movement, and this is helping to create mental strength and endurance in preparation for your labor. So we're going to move the fingertips outwards and then circle the wrist joint. Continue to do this action. This is also excellent if you use a computer a lot to warm up the forearms and these little tiny muscles around the forearms. So little finger all the way through and then circle the wrist joint. And just to make it pretty, we're going to take the arms up like we're playing the castanets. Equally, it's going to create a little bit more inside the shoulder joint. We're going to keep going with this. So one round doesn't feel like much, but I'm going to ask you to do a couple of rounds, and you'll probably start to feel a burning sensation in your forearms. So you can visualize that that could be a surge or a contraction. And how are you going to deal with that sensation that's coming into your body right now? Are you going to stop the breath? Or can you breathe into that sensation as it's happening in your body? Greeting it, making friends with it. It soon will be over, I promise. Good. And then we continue. The arms go down and up. Again, this Kriya technique, this repeated movement, just moving through the body and staying with the breath. I know, we've got a little while longer. Breathing in and out. So you'll probably feel this around the shoulders and underneath the arms. Excellent for toning up the arms, holding little people, which get very heavy, I believe, very quickly in life. So creating stability and strength in the shoulder girdle area, whilst also working with sensation in the body and creating mental strength in preparation for that. And the last part of this, I call this Swan Lake arms. So the arms go all the way up, in breath, and then all the way down, out breath. All the way up, in breath, all the way down, out breath, and just freeing up the shoulders. You'll probably be feeling them quite a lot right now. Good, toning the arms. Last one. Well done, ladies. And releasing the hands, palms up. Full breath in. Exhale through the mouth, twice more. Releasing, letting go, last time. Truly well done. Namaste. I'm Katy Appleton, the founder and director of Apple Yoga. Today's flow we're going to be doing on all fours and then coming up to standing. This is conducive for all trimesters, and we'll be working with release and freedom through the body to get rid of any of those niggles and aches that may be happening in pregnancy. So come on, we're going to go on to all fours. So take the hands shoulders width apart, press the first knuckle down into the floor to really root the palm down into the floor and prevent any hanging in the joint of the wrist. And then take the knees wider than hips width, particularly if you're in your later trimester. And we're going to start to move the hips from side to side, just freeing up the sides of the hips and eventually the lower back. And moving in circular flows, and just allowing the hips to move in any direction, whichever way, but often best in circles. And these actions just help to free up the lower back between the lumbar joints, the lower back joints. Again, in pregnancy, they tend to get a little bit more compressed as the baby develops and grows, and the body leans forwards. You get more of a lower back curve. And moving into the opposite direction, and just noticing that your ribs will probably come in for the party as well. as will the head and neck, and really allowing the spine to be free, imagining that it was like a piece of seaweed or a sea anemone in the ocean. So you almost have no bones in the body, and you're just literally getting into some of those tight, sometimes sweet spots inside the back area. We're going to move forwards and backwards into cat-cow now. Inhale, lengthen the collarbones broad, and then as you exhale, root the shins and the fronts of the feet into the floor. Draw your baby up towards you, saying hello to her or him. And again, in breath, through the nose, and out breath, opening up the space between the joints. You can also come onto the fingertips here, which sometimes is really useful if you have something in the wrist joint called carpal tunnel syndrome, when there's a lot more fluid in the body in pregnancy. In breath, looking forwards. Sometimes there's a little bit of compression or numbness towards the end of the pregnancy inside the wrists because of that extra fluid. So being on fingertips and keeping less flexion in the joint will help. Moving forwards on the in-breath, and last time on the out-breath. We're going to stretch and open the side of the body. So please, tiptoe the hands off to the right side of the floor. You'll feel the stretch all the way down the left side. Take a deep breath into that stretch. Have your knees wide enough to support your bump as you draw your hips backwards away from your hands. Exhale. So it's like a pulsation. You inhale to lift a little bit, and you exhale through your nose or mouth to release. Last time. So taking one more round, take an inhalation and traction your hips away from your hands. Exhale. Come forwards onto the hands and walk back to your center. We'll repeat that to the other side. Look forwards, in breath. Root your sit bones down to the back of your knees. Gently draw your baby towards you and come onto your fingertips. You might like to stretch out the back a little bit here. Oh, that feels good. And then tiptoe the hands off to the left side or the other side of your mat. And then take an inhalation, making sure your knees are apart enough so your body, baby, can feel comfortable as you traction your hips back away from your hands. Exhale. Couple more rounds of breath, ladies. Inhale. Feel a hugging of the arm bones, nose or mouth to really release. Exhale. So you can feel the stretch all the way down for most, the right side of the body or the side that you're leaning away from, opening up the fascia, the connective tissue of the body there, releasing any tightness. So coming back to the center, and we're going to move into what's called goddess pose. So turn the toes underneath you, lean backwards onto the feet, pick the knees up off the floor, and as you do so, clip your heel back together again, and then taking your hands to your thighs, if you need to keep them on the floor you can, and then lift the sternum upwards. So again, we're here strengthening up the feet, working a little bit on balance, drawing your baby gently towards you, and taking the breath easily and naturally. Notice the eye line is directly in front for balance. And then we're going to come back to the floor, walking the hands forwards and into the second part of the flow. So hands again, shoulders width apart, whole hand rooting down. Bring your leg to the midline, and we're going to take some leg circles or hip circles. So circling the leg in towards the body and then back out and away. Rooting the opposite shin bone into the floor and the hands into the floor, and arms as strong and straight as you do this action. So you're not relaxing and letting go as you move. This works with the hip joint, creating mobility in that area, but you'll be delighted to know also a little bit of tone to the buttocks. Making this your last one, and then we'll draw the knee in towards the body if you have space, in breath, probably for first and early second trimester. Out breath, lengthen the leg behind, toes down, draw your baby in towards you. If you're in your later trimester, draw the knee to the outside of the arm, hug in, head down, palms down, leg down, exhale, leg back. Take the foot down to the floor, place the heel down to the floor, and then bring the underneath leg back. For balance now, take that hand underneath your shoulder directly, and take the hand onto your hip and turn to the side. Stretch out through the waist, create some space, look up or down for balance. Lift the arm up, in breath, and tip over to the side, out breath. Press into that hand to lift up through the side body. One more circle, ladies. Inhale and exhale. So again, toning and creating space for the side of the body. Finally, on this side, we're going to move into a pose, half a squatting position, called open pose. So draw the foot in towards. You can have the foot flat on the floor. If the heel's raised, that's perfect. And then lean forwards to open up through the groin area. Breathing here. So again, a conducive position in preparation for labor. And then moving the body backwards to an all fours position. Final side. The other leg comes into the midline for stability. The hands are underneath your shoulders, knuckles pressed down. The hip circles or leg circles, breathing as you go. Arms strong and straight. The leg that's supporting the floor, press it down into the floor. And toning around the buttock area. And then drawing the knee either in or to the outside of your arm. In breath. And as you exhale, arms strong and straight, collarbones broaden, toe down to the floor, draw baby in towards you. In breath, if you're in the later trimesters, draw the knee on the outside of the forearm, upper arm, and exhale. Take the foot down to the floor, heel down to the floor, press into the whole outer edge of the foot, and take the other foot back behind you. Take the hand underneath your shoulder, and take the hand onto your hip. Press down to lift the heart up and away from your baby to create space. Taking the arm out to the side and up. In breath, root down into that opposite hand to stretch through the side body. Circle the arm across the face. Inhale. Nose or mouth. Exhale, drawing baby towards you. And then draw the foot in towards the body, coming into that open position. We'll only be here briefly, so you might feel a little discomfort underneath. And then taking the hands to the floor. Taking the breath in through the nose. Relaxing the pelvic floor muscles. Relaxing the jaw. And coming forwards. And you can move in any direction that feels good to the body. It may feel a little tangy though. Tangy being like a stretching sensation. So use your breath to release into that sensation. Great. And we're going to come back to all fours, and then we're going to come up to standing. So lean back, bring your knees off the floor, and it's really important when you're coming from floor to standing that you're stable. So widen the feet enough, so you've got a Strodden steady base. Taking the hands onto the thighs and come all the way upwards towards a standing position. If you're not lightheaded, take the arms up to the ceiling. If you are, simply take them out to the side and into prayer pose. And exhaling. Namaste, and thank you for watching this pregnancy yoga series. I'm Katy Appleton, the founder and director of Apple Yoga. Today's flow is all about relaxation and calm, and we'll be working with the breath, some sound work to elongate the breath, and I'll explain the benefits of that, and also a relaxation technique called autosuggestion. You can either do this sitting on a chair or on the floor. If you are sitting on the floor, I would recommend sitting on something to raise the hips higher than the knees, or you can come into a side lying position. So often we favour in pregnancy the left-hand side, which helps to promote what's called optimal fetal position. So let me give you a demonstration of that just so you're clear. So if you're wanting to do all of this technique, the breath, the sound work, and the relaxation, you can do it side lying. However, you can join me seated if you wish to as well. So coming from the side of the body, best for the belly muscles, to lie down, have something underneath the head so the neck is supported, and then place something between the knees, a cushion, just so your pelvis, your hips are hips width apart and there's no pressure on the outside of the hip joints. And you can join me for the whole flow in this position should you wish to. I'm going to come up to be able to lead you through this in a seat. So find your comfortable position, either sitting, cross-legged, kneeling or on a chair, or side lying on that left side with something between the knees and underneath the head. And we'll begin with the breath. So do close your eyes and start to become aware of the breath around the nostrils. Simply notice the ebb and the flow of the breath coming in and out of the nose, like a gentle breeze. Inhaling and exhaling. And notice as you're breathing at your own pace that the air is cooler as it comes in and warmer as it goes out. And as you begin to become aware of your breath and you focus just upon that, it helps to calm and center the body-mind. Conducive for all of us, but particularly vital for us when pregnant. As you continue to breathe through the nose, start to allow the breath to travel, of course, further down. So you breathe in through the nose as it passes down through the throat, and then comes up through the throat and out through the nose or mouth, if that feels more comfortable. Continue to breathe like this as you inhale, nose, throat, and notice how the lungs blossom and expand. And then as you exhale, exhale through from the lungs up into the throat and out through the nostrils or mouth. Continue breathing like this, inhaling, filling up the lungs, beautiful, and exhaling all the way out and all the way down. Becoming aware of your breath, inhaling nose, throat, lungs expand, and exhaling lungs, throat, nose or mouth. Just finding your own breath rate. So use my voice as a guide, helping to slow and calm the nervous system through these longer, easier breaths. Starting to move into what we call the S breath, and this S breath helps to elongate the out breath. So I'll do it with you a few times and then I'll explain some of the benefits as you're breathing in this way. So exactly the same breath technique. Inhale through the nose, let the lungs fill up, and then creating a sound through the mouth. Coming at your own pace, inhaling, you may be before me. You keep going with that, inhaling through the nose, creating that sound. Good, keep going. That's it, keep going. And when you're ready, inhale again and just keep going with that. So this elongation of the out breath is really important to slow and quieten the nervous system, especially important inside of pregnancy and especially important inside of labor, because it helps to turn the nervous system into what we call the parasympathetic state. And when the body's in that state, the hormone that helps the uterus contract and contractions to occur can be in abundance. It's called oxytocin. So we want to calm the nervous system down in life to promote relaxation and rejuvenation. And inside labor, we're looking to calm the nervous system down in order to promote lots of oxytocin in the body so the body can contract and labor well. So we're slowing the breath down and elongating it through this S breath in order to help achieve that. Breathe at your own pace. Really nice. And make this the last sound that you do. And moving into your relaxation technique. Simply, all you need to do is focus on the body parts that I'm suggesting, and in turn, they will relax. Let's start with the feet. I relax my feet and legs. I relax my feet and legs. My feet and legs are relaxed. I relax my pelvis and pelvic floor. I relax my pelvis and pelvic floor. Pelvis and pelvic floor completely relaxed. I relax my lower back, middle back, and upper back. I relax my lower back, middle back, and upper back. My whole back is relaxed. I relax my belly and chest. I relax my belly and chest. My belly and chest completely relax. I relax my shoulders, arms and hands. I relax my shoulders, arms and hands. My shoulders, arms and hands completely relax. I relax my neck and head. I relax my neck and head. Neck and head, relax. And I relax my facial muscles. I relax my facial muscles. My face is completely relaxed. Jaw relaxed. Tongue relaxed. Even the cheeks can relax. Eyes completely relaxed. Forehead relaxed. Brain relaxed. Body, mind, deeply relaxed. Namaste.
Hi, I'm Tammy. Welcome to Pregnancy Yoga. Today we're going to focus in on embracing change and transformation. And this is particularly relevant in your first trimester, where you'll be going through so much inwardly, but it won't be obvious outwardly. So when going through a lot of change, the best policy now is less is more. So we'll start by just working through a postural awareness technique through mountain pose. Getting an awareness of your posture and of your alignment can just help you hone into it if there are any imbalances in your body, which may later on cause you discomfort and stresses and strains. So just very early on, learning your posture can be really helpful for this. So start by looking down at your feet. When pregnant, we want a slightly wider stance, so the feet a little bit wider than hip width, and just spread your toes. Rock forward onto the balls of the feet, back onto the heels, just a few times to gauge your center of balance. And then when you can find the center, just stay there and bend the knees. With the knees soft, push the floor away from you and strengthen the legs. And as you do that a few times, you'll notice there's a kind of spiraling action that goes through the legs. The thighs roll in towards the center line. So it's going to look quite funny in a minute, but these are all just different ways to emphasize feeling your posture. All right, and then from here, we're going to take the hand to the lower belly and one hand to the sacrum, your lower back, and start to feel the placement of your pelvis. So the knees bend, you push the floor away, scooping up the pelvis. The tailbone is kind of drawing down and under, and it scoops up and lifts up the pelvis. Now, in the very early stages of pregnancy, this will be quite subtle, but as you get heavier and there's more weight in the front, you want to really gather that support from the ground upwards, and it becomes more important. Okay. From here, lengthen the belly, lift the chest. Just bring the arms to the sides. With the chest lifting, roll the shoulders up, back and down, and the arms by your sides. Have the crown of the head really lift up tall, and the chin parallel with the floor. So this is mountain pose, standing nice and tall, with all your postural muscles, your stabilizing muscles, working effectively to hold you in line. Nice deep breathing here, feeling the structural integrity through your body, feeling the lengthening of your spine, the center line of your body, and then bring your awareness to your alignment on an energetic level. So visualize or feel a sense of inhaling your energy up from the soles of the feet to the crown of the head. Inhaling up the body, making you taller, and then exhale down the body, helping you feel more centered, more grounded. So now introducing breath synchronized movement. Inhale, reach the arms out, stretch up, reach up, and then exhale, arms to the sides. Few of these working with an expansion on your inhale and a drawing down and grounding with your exhale. Inhale, rising up of energy, and an exhale, a centering down with your energy. 2 more. Inhale, reach, shoulders down as the arms reach up. Exhale, down, noticing the feet connect to the earth, and then bring the arms out in front, shoulders down, wrists up. Inhale, open and expand the chest. Exhale, close. And here, just getting used to synchronizing your movement with your breath, creating that energetic alignment. Two more. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Now interlace your fingers in front of you. Roll the palms out, and we're just kind of open up the upper back. Reach the arms over the head. Draw the shoulders down. And from here, keep the elbows straight. The thumbs touching. Trying to draw the arms back. Do a little side bend over to your right. Reaching for the top corner of the rim with your palms. And then back up to center. Inhale, over to your left. Inhale, stretch up. And exhale, bring the arms back and around. You can clasp the fingertips behind you and then push the palms together. So pushing the palms together like this, and then take the arms up. And just feeling the chest open here. Pushing the palms together, just helping open up the chest, which creates more space for the breath. And indeed, let's take the hands now to the lower back. You can do fingertips pointing up if you have that openness through the shoulders, or just face down. Push your hips forward and lift the chest and breathe. Inhaling through the nose, exhale through the nose. Neck relaxed. All right, and then slide the hands down the lower back. So give your lower back a rub. Might feel quite stiff in these early stages. And then down the backs of the legs. You can bend your knees if your hamstrings feel tight. Coming slowly into a forward bend. Let the head hang heavy. Relax the jaw, shake the head. Bend the knees so you come up into a squat position, your chest lifting. And then from the squat, which are going to be your new best friend during pregnancy, so handy and so helpful to do all the time. From the squat, we'll just walk your hands forward to bring the knees down, to come into tabletop position. So, tabletop position, shoulders under the wrists, knees under the hips. You can have your knees a little bit wider actually, and then just start to sway the hips side to side. Loosen the lower back, and you can start to just circle a little bit. Inhale forward, exhale back. And I'm going to introduce ha breath. So breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And breathing out through the mouth just helps you relax your jaw and helps you kind of release a little bit more. So this is going to be really handy throughout the pregnancy. Just this is because relaxed jaw helps relax the pelvis. So inhale nose, out through the mouth. Inhale nose. Let's reverse the circles. We'll take that into cat-cow. So your cat-cow is now modified. No deep arching in the back. Instead, just work on lengthening spine, lengthening belly, lifting chest. So inhale here. Exhale, tilt the pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Carry on at your own pace, synchronizing movement and breath. This is really nice and sort of comforting for your back. Relieves stiffness in the lower back in particular. Remember, you can always rest whenever you need to in child's pose. Child's pose, you bring the knees a little bit wider now, especially as your bump gets bigger. Child's pose, bringing the forehead down. So yeah, remembering less is more. So those spaces between postures, so important to rest and really appreciate the rebound of energy that is experienced in between the postures. So now I'd like to run through the 5 key modifications for safe pregnancy yoga practice. The first is to avoid abdominal core work, but instead of abdominal core work, there's still plenty you can do. Namely, strengthening the core of the glute, which is the glutes and the quads, and you kind of the pelvic stability region, so inner thigh and stuff like this. So this is particularly helpful for lower back pain and preventing that. So from tabletop position, instead of abdominal core work, we'll work on pelvic stability. So let's take right leg up, left arm out, opposite arm and leg. Inhale, reach, and exhale, draw into your middle. About 10 of those on each side. Try not to tip. Inhale, reach, exhale, draw in towards the middle. As your bump gets bigger, the knee won't come in so much. Work on keeping the engagement through your glutes, keeping the pelvis stable and the shoulders even. Inhale through the nose, you can still exhale through the mouth. And then change sides. Left leg reaches out, right arm reaches out. Inhale, extend. Exhale, pull in towards your middle. Try not to open out the hip too much on your left side. Instead, just lift from your glute. And bringing the hands down. So the second key principle for safe practice is that you can't lie on your tummy. But there's a lot of really important yoga postures where you strengthen your upper back when lying on your tummy. Postures like cobra, locust. But what we could do instead is come into kneeling, knees hip width apart, and just roll the shoulders back from here. Keep the belly nice and lengthened and the chest lifting. And then just work on pulsing the arms back. Okay, it doesn't quite feel as strong as maybe some of the back strengtheners that you do on your tummy, but it's still beneficial and you still certainly feel your stabilizing muscles through your upper back engaged. Rather than taking your arms out, you're taking them in towards each other. And then you could try out a little wider. Try turning the palms so that they face forward. Try bending the elbows and just doing variations like this. They do feel quite good. So just play around with it. That's modification 2, little upper back strengtheners. So the third principle to bear in mind is no more deep back bends in practice. So instead, more of an emphasis on chest opening. So let's take camel, for example. Let's take the fingertips to the lower back. You're pushing the hips forward. The legs are nice and firm and strong. You're not squeezing the bum, but there's a certain engagement there. The hips pushing forward. Lengthen the belly, lift the chest, and roll your shoulders back. So here, emphasis is on opening up the upper back and the chest. So nice lifting of the chest. Want to feel like your belly is lengthening, rib cage lifts, front, sides and back of the rib cage lifts. No pressure, absolutely no pressure in your lower back at all. Okay, and then you can give the lower back a rub, come down onto the heels, and then maybe walk the hands back behind you and then lift the hips from here. Again, chest opening. If it feels good and it's okay for your neck, you can drop the head all the way back. So the fourth safety principle to bear in mind for safe yoga practice is when you're coming into twists, no longer are we doing deep twists. So you can come to seated like this, bring one foot onto the thigh and the other foot behind you, and then just gentle pelvic tilts as you twist round. You can inhale one way, exhale the other way. So then spin around and do the other side. So yeah, these twists are a lot more soothing than going into a deep spinal twist. So you can do as many of these little twists as feels good for you. So it's quite nice just to flow back and forth between them. Or if you prefer, just stay there and hold it for a bit. So now on to the fifth important safety modification for pregnancy yoga. Relates to forward bends. So when you're coming into a forward bend, normally you just kind of fold your belly forward over your thighs or whatever, but as your belly gets bigger, that gets way more uncomfortable. And also there's this other thing where some women get this acid reflux thing from kind of compressing all their internal organs. It's like creates this horrible sick feeling. So a new way of experiencing forward bends is to actually just do them with your legs wide. Legs wide, there's room, there's space for belly, space for you. So another aspect is also to keep the length, really focus on lengthening the belly. That means maybe you don't go into your full flexibility, that's okay, you're still getting the benefits. So work on really inhale lengthening and exhale, tipping forward from the pelvis, but keeping the length in the spine. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Yeah, and actually I'll just show you this from the side so you get a clearer understanding of the alignment through the torso. So the legs apart, inhale, lengthen, Exhale, folding, tipping from the pelvis, keeping the length through the spine. Yeah, I can fold deeper, but that's creating compression and rounding, and that's not worth it. And then another aspect within the forward bend. Instead of facing forward, explore working more towards coming into side bends. So you're still getting a really nice stretch, but again, there's that space for your abdomen. All right. So those are the 5 principles for safe yoga practice. Hi, I'm Tammy and welcome to Pregnancy Yoga. Today we're going to focus on strength and stability. So the practice is particularly for the 2nd trimester and onwards. We'll be building strength around the glutes, the legs, and also the pelvic floor so that your pelvis is nice and stable, and this helps prevent lower back pain and discomfort, especially as you get a bit bigger. First of all, start with your feet nice and hip width, maybe a little bit wider as your hips are getting bigger, so just be mindful of that. One hand to the lower belly, one hand to the lower back. Bend the knees, and with the knees bent, push the ground away from you to strengthen your legs. As you push the ground away from you, it kind of sends the pelvis forward and your belly button up and straight ahead. I'll show you from the side. So you're pushing the floor away and lifting the belly. So push the floor away, scoop the tailbone under, and it makes your belly button sink. Yeah, can you see that? Hopefully. All right. So from here, you've got the support from underneath you, carrying the weight of your tummy, and then lengthen the belly, lift the chest, and roll the shoulders back. So from a good standing posture, we'll take the arms up and slowly start to reach all the way. And then exhale, arms around to the side, come into a forward bend. Slide the hands to the knees bend, and come into a squat. From squat position, walk the hands out forward and the knees come down to the floor. So now the next warm-up we'll come into is from tabletop position. So this is particularly great if you've got kind of an imbalance in your pelvis and a weakness on one side. This helps build up the strength on both sides. So first of all, take the right leg out and the left arm. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull it in toward the middle. And just repeat that, synchronizing movement and breath, aiming for about 10 on each side. And then over to the other side, left leg, right arm, inhale, extend, reach, keep square through the pelvis, even in the shoulders. Exhale, draw into your midline. As your belly gets bigger, you won't want to bring the knee too far in. That's fine, as long as you're lifting from your glute. So bring the hand back down, take a deep breath, and remember when you're pregnant you've got a lot more blood flow in the body, so you can feel quite lightheaded and dizzy, so remember to rest whenever you need to. Like now's a good time to rest. Bring the knees wide, little child's pose here, and just let your heartbeat come down a little. So back to tabletop, we'll carry on. Now let's just take the right knee out to the right in line with your hip. But at the same time, you don't want to shift all the way over to your left side. So try and stay quite stable and centered. So inhale, knee goes out to the right, exhale, bring it down. If you're feeling any pinching or sort of compression in your hip, then you just take the knee out back a little bit more. If you feel quite strong here, you can do the next 5 by extending and kicking the leg out. And then the left side. Inhale up, exhale down. I've got to just move over a little bit because there's not enough room for my very long legs to kick out, but I'll try. So inhale and kick. 2, 3, 4. Try and keep the arms straight and the chest up. 5. And again, knees wide, have a little rest. Deep, slow breath. Okay, next set, doing little hip circles. So extend the right leg, bring it in, circle it, bring it in, take it back. So in, round, in, back, in, round, in, back. Inhale in, round, exhale back. Inhale in, round, exhale in, back. Okay, take a deep breath. Don't be surprised if you do get more kind of worn out and tired than you normally would do. You just kind of have to embrace the change. So left leg goes back, inhale, bring it in, round, in, back, in, round, in, back. Inhale, round, exhale, back. Just 2 more. Good. And then the knees wide, take child's pose. Take a breath. So last set of pelvic stability movements here. We'll take the right knee back, bend the knee and flex the foot. Look behind you so you can just see that your sacrum is in line and you're not like opening your hip out to the side. And from there, just lift the chest, lengthen belly, look forward, just pulse the foot straight up. And then from the other side, lift up the left leg, bend the knee, flex the foot and look behind you. And then from here, you just want to make sure again that your pelvis is nice and stable, your sacrum stable and even, and then pulse the foot. Keep the chest up. And bring it down. So the knees wide, into child's pose. Take a rest. So from here, let's now tuck the toes under and push up into squat by pressing into your hands. Knees go wide. So squat position. You might find your heels don't touch the floor. That's quite normal. Otherwise, if you can bring the heels down and practice balancing here. Lifting the chest real nice and tall. And breathing deeply. The more you lean back into your heels, the more you use your glutes, and the more that actually helps support and strengthen the pelvic floor. From here, we're going to stand up. So stick your bum out behind you, arms around, and reach all the way up. And then just bring the arms around and down. So squats, brilliant. They're going to help you throughout your pregnancy. The standard kind of squat is really helpful to just incorporate now into your yoga practice. Start with the feet slightly turned out, so your toes turned out. And then as you're coming down, you want to really stick your bum out behind you. And then keep the spine long and the arms down. So inhale down and exhale. You can breathe out through the mouth. Exhale, thrust the pelvis forward. And that makes you strengthen the back of your legs and your glutes. So simple as that. Let's do 10. 4, 5, 6, 7, going as low as you can, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and then we can come into Utkatasana, which is a more traditional yogic kind of interpretation of a squat position, really strengthening for the glutes, also for the upper back. So sit down into your heels as if you're going to sit into a chair and reach the arms up. Lift your chest. You're going to keep the shoulders broad so you're not stressing out your neck. Keep leaning into the heels and breathing here. Keep the eyes focused on one point, and that helps keep your mind steady. Keep leaning back, sitting back as low as you can on the exhale, lifting the arms high on the inhale. And then push down into the feet and reach all the way up. Inhale, arms to the sides, exhale. So second set of squats. This time we'll have the feet a little bit wider. So maybe to the kind of width of your mat. Again, toes turned out. I'm out of breath already. If, like me, you need to rest, go for it. But otherwise, you just keep going with the sequence. So another 10 squats, toes turned out, sit back down, inhale, and then exhale, thrust the hips forward to really strengthen the backs of the legs. 2, and also exhale, push the shoulder blades together as you come up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, second Utkatasana, aiming for 5 breaths here. So now bringing the toes to turn in a little bit. Sit down, reach the arms up, inhale, reach up, exhale, sit down. Inhale 2, exhale, inhale 3, exhale. You can take the arms over the head if you can. Inhale 4, exhale, inhale 5, exhale, pushing down into the feet, inhale, reach up, exhale, arms to the sides. And now the third set of squats, we'll have the feet really wide, toes turned out, sitting all the way back. Inhale, and exhale, standing up. 2, 1, can't count, 2, 3, 4, leaning into the heels as much as you can, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You better be joining in at home. 10. All right, and then the feet together. So the next version or variation on Utkatasana, fierce pose, will be more like what they do in Pilates, which is a move called skating. I don't know if you've ever done dynamic reformer Pilates, but it's a killer on the bum. It's really good. So it's just modified here for a yoga scene. So shift all your weight into your, let's go with the right foot first, and into the heel. So your arms are out like your standard Utkatasana. And then take the weight out of your left heel and drag and slide the foot along, aiming for about 8 of those. Keep leaning back into the right heel. Cool, and then shift now into the left heel. So lean back, sit low, stick your bum out. All the weight is in the left heel. And then pick up your right foot and drag it along. Keep breathing smoothly. And 8. And then stay in both heels. The arms are up, you're leaning back. Keep breathing. Stay with me if you can. You're going to shift into the right heel. Shift into the left heel. Back into both heels. Take the arms back alongside your hips. Palms face up, shoulders together. And then lift into the right, shift into the right heel. Left heel. Both heels. Arms reach up. Inhale. And push down into the feet. Exhale, standing up. Gosh, that's hard. All right, so once you've caught your breath, and do take time to catch your breath, maybe get a drink of water, especially if you feel dizzy or anything like that. We'll move then on to the balance. Okay, so turn to your side and lift up your left leg, balancing on the right leg, keeping your right leg really firm and strong. And then start to extend your left leg back. Chest is up, your hands on the hips just to help guide your balance. Look up ahead. It's kind of a variation of Warrior 3, but not as intense. I'm going to really work on keeping the heart lifting and the shoulders back. From here, turn out your left toes, so the heel is in and the toes are out. Lift up your chest and stay even through the pelvis and start to pulse that back leg. Here you'll really feel your glutes working. So just pulsing the leg up and down. Keep your balance. The key to protecting your lower back is having really strong glutes. And then bring the left knee forward and find tree pose. And bring it down. So we'll try that on the other side. Looking down at the feet, shift your weight into your left leg, raise the right leg back, and just steer the hips so that they're pointing straight ahead and your chest is up. As the chest leans forward, the right leg goes back. Whoops, you may wobble around. It's quite normal. Don't worry about it. So turn your right toes out and begin to pulse the leg. Keeping the glutes very engaged. Shouldn't feel compression in the hip. If you do, you just need to change the angle of the leg and the toes. Then bend that knee, bring it forward and place the foot into tree pose, reaching your arms up. And back down. So we'll finish the strength standing postures with the feet apart, toes turned out, into a kind of a horse squat. It's a really classy position. Look like a sumo wrestler, I suppose. All right, we want to lean back a little bit so that the shoulders are over the hips and have the knees out. So I'm going to take the arms up to the sides, reach them up. Deep breath in. And then when you exhale, take the arms to the sides. Inhale, bring them forward and around and up. Exhale, out to the sides. Carry on like that with the arms. So we want to keep a kind of buoyancy through the pelvis, so you're not collapsing into your joints. So we're trying practicing just little pulses here. They're not bounces, but more pulses. So keep the arms out, and you can turn the palms to face back. Arms behind you, squeezing shoulder blades together. Maybe you could lift your toes. Should feel the thighs working quite firmly now. And then reach all the way up, straighten the legs. And heel toe the feet together as you bring the arms down. Okay, your legs, your glutes, they should feel quite strong. And let's come back down to the mat now. So inhale, reach up. Exhale, into a forward bend. Halfway up, so sliding the hands to the knees. Inhale. Exhale, sitting down into squat. Can lean back into your heels, bring the heels down if you can. Or if you're more comfortable, stay on the balls of the feet. It's fine, just leaning back as much as you can. Walk the hands forward, knees touch down onto the ground at the same time. Back into tabletop position, but just use it to help you shift now onto your right side. I'm going to lie down onto the right side. Have the right arm underneath your ear. And just look down at your body, bend your knees, and have the heels in. Keep the belly nice and long. You can have your left hand in front of you to support you. We'll do the clam, which is a really great pelvic stabilizer. Again, strengthening the glutes. So, keeping the ankles glued together. Inhale, open the knees apart. And then exhale, squeeze the glutes and squeeze the knees together. If you suffer from aches and pains in your lower back and you have a kind of rotated pelvis, then this is really great for helping realign your pelvis and balance the muscles through your lower body. So it's inhale, knees apart, exhale, squeeze the glutes, pulling the knees together. You're creating the resistance in this, so making it a lot harder for yourself by keeping the engagement all the way through. Zip up the inner thighs, zip up the pelvic floor to add to the effectiveness of the movement. So as you're going into your third trimester, lying on your right side becomes a little more uncomfortable because your womb kind of puts weight onto the liver, so it can make you feel quite sick. So if this doesn't feel appropriate for you, then just come up out of it. Otherwise, we're still working here, working really strongly on keeping the glutes engaged. Now we can try keeping the knees together and open up the ankles and then squeeze, bringing the ankles together. Inhale, open, exhale, squeeze. Keep the length in the belly, the chest lifting, so you're not rounding too much. And again, you don't want to just be like flapping the leg apart because that's not doing anything. Really work on squeezing. As if you've got like a big beach ball between your legs and you're trying to pop it. And then put the two together, the knees and the ankles. Inhale, open knees. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, open ankles. Exhale, squeeze. You can do the clam any time of day in front of the TV. It's good to just make it a regular thing. Before we come up to the other side, we'll just stick with this right side and straighten out the legs. Lift up and lower, nice and simple, Jane Fonda style. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. So your glutes may be screaming out to you by now, that's a good thing. If you're feeling pinching or compressing in your hip, then it means you need to adjust the leg position maybe back a little. So you target your glutes, the muscles of your bum, not the hip joints, hip bones. Cool. And then if you're feeling really strong, you can come up onto head onto hand. Look at your foot, lift it, point the toes and make tennis ball sized circles with your toe. And then reverse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, bend the knees. Oh, gosh. And just give yourself a round of applause. Okay, good. That's working. You know it's working because it hurts. All right, and then change sides. So come over to your left side. We'll repeat that sequence on the left side. So nice long torso. Right hand by your chest, knees bent. The clam. Squeeze the knees together. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Activate all through the inner thigh and zip up the pelvic floor as you squeeze the knees together. And now let's try the reverse. So you're taking your feet apart. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze the glutes and bring the ankles together. The knees stay stuck together now. You might find one side is easier than the other side. And just tune into that. Tune into where there is misalignment or kind of an imbalance of strength in your body. So the side it's harder on, try and do more repetitions on that side. And then putting the two together. Inhale, knees apart. Exhale, squeeze. And try not to tip your hips. Ankles apart. Exhale, squeeze. Hopefully you're still with me at home. I'm not just doing this on my own. Okay. A few more. Okay, so remember this is really helping to stabilize your pelvis and strengthen all the pelvic floor muscles and the muscles around the hips and the glutes, so you won't suffer from lower back pains. All right, now let's straighten out the legs. Nice straight line with your body. Taking left leg up and back. Inhale up, exhale down. So halfway, stay with me. Seven, 8, 9. Last one. 10. And then the tennis balls, don't want to forget those. So point your toes and then circle. And then back the other way. Oh my gosh. All right, bend the knee. Well done. Well done, us. All right. So let's come up to seated and just incorporate one of those twists where you're just stabilizing the pelvis here as well. And then let's stretch by bringing your left hand to the floor and the right arm over. Relax your shoulders. You can look up at your right arm. And then change sides. Swing the legs around. And twist. Your sit bone will lift off the ground. That's fine. Left arm sweeps over the head as you side bend and stretch. And come back now to a seated position. The feet together, knees apart. Lift the chest nice and tall. And from here we can practice a few pelvic floor lifts. You may want to take a cushion and just place it under your sit bones. Yeah, it's the sensation of engaging from the pelvic floor as if interrupting yourself from having a wee, or if you really need to wee but you can't because there's no toilet. That feeling of lifting up, holding, and then release, and then lift and release. So obviously you can't see me do it, but hopefully you get the idea. Or you just spend a few moments practicing this. Just breathe normally, breathe comfortably. Just bear in mind actually that your jaw is inextricably linked to your pelvis. And if you clench your jaw, it kind of has a similar effect to the pelvis. So try and relax your jaw when you're releasing the pelvic floor, and that will really help. So first of all, we'll do fast twitch. So it's like lift, release, lift, release, lift, release. It's nice and easy. And your midwife has probably recommended that you practice your pelvic floor lifts every day. You can do it on the bus, at work. See, no one can tell you're doing it. I'm doing it right now. You can't tell. All right, so now try a big long lift. So you hold, can't go to wee, and then a big release. So slow movement now. What would help is if you inhale, lift, and exhale, release. So you can do much more of those in your own time at a leisurely pace. Right, so from here, let's move on to cross leg and start to warm down the practice with the breathing exercise. We'll take the right hand to the belly and the left hand to the chest to help you sit tall and to help you connect the womb space to the heart space. In yoga, there's said to be like this energetic channel in women which kind of connects the love from the mother's heart to the baby, which is quite nice. So just drop your chin to your chest, close your eyes, and tune into that energetic channel. Just start to visualize this as a stream of energy from the womb to the heart. If it helps, send your breath up and down this energetic channel to help guide your awareness into the two spaces. You can spend longer here if it feels right and you have the time. Entering a meditative state becomes a lot more of a natural thing during pregnancy. And slowly sliding the hands down. We create Yoni Mudra, which is a female energetic kind of energy circuit, by bringing the fingertips together and the thumbs together into this downward facing triangle, and just place it on the lower womb and just allow the heat from the palms to just radiate here on the womb. Just using this sacred time and space to really connect to your baby. And when you're ready, come down now onto your mat for final relaxation to close the practice. So if you're in your later part of the second trimester, you may want to be on your left side. Otherwise, it might still be comfortable just lying straight on your back. But just come down and spend a few moments. Pillow between the legs is always good. Just resting, eyes closed, eyes relaxed. Melt down into the ground. If you have the time and you need the rest, just stay here in final relaxation for as long as you like. Otherwise, start to stretch and awaken and come up to seated. So thanks very much for watching. I hope that was helpful. You can practice the video as many times as you like. It's only going to make you fitter and stronger and suitable from the second trimester onwards.